Hello, and welcome to this video presentation, in which we will show you how to use ApexSQL Source Control with local file system repositories. We will explain how to use Git, Mercurial, and Subversion local file repositories with ApexSQL Source Control. In the following examples, we will show you how to create local file system repositories for Git, Mercurial, and Subversion source control systems using the command line interface, or one of the free client tools, including Tortoise SVN, Tortoise HG, and Git Bash. Let's create the Git local file system repository. For this, you will need an installed Git source control system. We can accomplish that with Git Bash. After installing Git Bash, in the context menu of the local file system, there will be additional commands for creating the Git local file system repository. Create a new empty folder. We will name that folder Git Local and right-click on it. From the context menu, choose the Git Bash Here command. This action will start the command prompt window, in which you will need to enter the git init-bear command. After the successful execution of this command, you will see the message Initialized Empty Git Repository in the Git Local folder. Now, all the necessary folders and files will be present in the Git Local folder for use as a Git Local repository. Now, when we have created the Git Local repository, let's link the AW1 database to that repository with ApexSQL Source Control. Right-click on the AW1 database in the Object Explorer pane, and from the context menu, choose the Link to Source Control command. When the Source Control wizard is open, select the Git item from the Source Control System drop-down list. The next three steps of the Source Control wizard won't change anything for this example, so we will jump to the final step, the System Login tab. In the System Login tab, click on the File subtab. As you can see, when linking a database to a local repository, the username and password are not mandatory, so we will leave these two fields empty. In the Repository field, we will enter the path to our Git Local repository. Click the Browse button and then the New button to create a new folder, AW1 repository, to which the AW1 database will be linked. Click the Create button, select the created project, and click the OK button. The AW1 repository project will now be added to the Project field. After everything is set, click the Finish button. When the linking process is completed, the Action Center tab will open, and you can continue to work with this database linked to the local Git repository, as you would be working if it were linked to any other remote repository. In the next example, we will show you how to create a mercurial local file system repository. For creating this type of repository, we will use Tortoise HG. The first step is to download and install the application. After the installation process is completed, additional commands will appear in the context menu. Once again, create a new empty folder, Mercurial Local. Right-click on it, and from the context menu, click the Create Repository Here command. This action will open the new repository window, in which the destination path is already entered for our repository. We will leave all of the options set by default and click the Create button. When creation of the Mercurial local repository is complete, the Tortoise HG Workbench window will open. Here, you can see all the commit and all committed objects. Since we still do not have any linked databases to this local repository, it will be empty. If you check the Mercurial local folder, you can see that all the necessary folder and files were created, so you can use this folder as a Mercurial repository. Now, let's link the AW2 database to this Mercurial local repository. Right-click on the AW2 database in the Object Explorer pane, and from the context menu, click the Link to Source Control command. When the Source Control wizard is open, select Mercurial from the Source Control Systems drop-down list. Since none of the options under the next three tabs make any difference for this example, we will jump right to the final step, the System Login tab. Here, you again select the File subtab. As you can see, the username and password are not mandatory, as was the case with the Git as well. Enter the location of the mercurial local repository in the repository field, and click the Browse button to create a new folder, AW2 repository, where this database will be linked. When creating the new project for the mercurial repository, you must provide a comment, or you will get the following message. When creating a project for the mercurial repository, the comment field cannot be empty. So after you enter the comment and set everything else, click the Finish button to link the AW2 database to the AW2 repository. When the linking process is done, the Action Center tab will open, and you will have a database linked to a local mercurial repository. In the following example, we will create the Subversion local repository. We installed the Tortoise SVN application, which will help us in creating our local Subversion repository. After the installation of the Tortoise SVN is completed, additional commands will have been added to the context menu. Create a new empty folder, SVN local. When creating this folder, be sure it is not write protected. Right-click on the SVN local folder, and from the context menu, choose the Create Repository Here command. You can click the Create Folder Structure command if you want to create these subfolders on the repository. Since we do not want to create the folder structure, we will click the other command, the Start Repo Browser command. This will open the Repository Browser window, where you can see all objects present on this repository. Because we did not link any database to this repository, the repository browser is empty. So let's link the AW3 database to this newly created Subversion local repository. Right-click on the AW3 in the Object Explorer pane and click the Link to Source Control command. When the Source Control wizard is open, choose the Subversion item from the Source Control Systems drop-down list. We will jump to the last step, the System Login tab. Again, select the File subtab, and since the username and password are not mandatory here as well, leave those fields empty. In the Repository field, enter the path to the Subversion local repository that we created. Click the Browse button, and then the New button to create a new project, AW3 repository, to which the AW3 database will be linked. When everything is set, click the Finish button to link the AW3 database to the Subversion local repository AW3 repository. If the linking process is successful, the Action Center tab will open, and you will have linked the database to the Subversion local repository. You can create any of these local repositories using the command line interface as well. If you want to create a Git local repository, Git CLI with the necessary folder structure, start Command Prompt and type the following. If you want to create a mercurial local repository, mercurial CLI, in Command Prompt, type the following. If you want to create a Subversion local repository, SVN CLI, in Command Prompt, type the following. As you can see, after the previous commands, we have all three folders transformed into local source control repositories. Thanks for watching. For more information, please visit ApexSQL.com.